There I was, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, leaning over the desk while I'm sitting down is Fred. Now who's Fred? Fred is a professional union negotiator. I met him 3 minutes earlier. Literally, he's leaning over the desk, looking me in the eye, and he's saying, I just want to let you know, there's no way this is going to end up in a win-win. There's going to be blood on both sides. And I want to let you know that at best we can compromise possibly and come up with some things that maybe we could live with over the next 3 years. That was my introduction to a 3-week negotiation I found myself in with a professional union negotiator who was at the time representing my employees. Even though we didn't need a union at that time, it was a marketing strategy on my part. So that's an example of what a lot of people call a hard approach. There's really 2 kinds of sharks. Now I know that a shark isn't a nice name. However, how many of you ever been into a negotiation or a meeting with someone, and even though you won, you felt like you were beaten up at the end. You felt like you lost at the end. The process doesn't have to be that way, but let's face it, we still live in a world where people play win-lose, where people play lose-lose. In other words, get what you want at all costs and not care about the person you're with. It's not what I teach. It's not what I profess in the world. However, that being said, you may find yourself sitting across the table of a guy like Fred, who is threatening you with a hard approach. Just understand that's a strategy. It is a technique. There's another approach, and let's call this the soft approach. There I was in Southern California, another union negotiator I was about to enter with, and his name was Oscar. And I was sitting down. Oscar came in as a gentle looking man, and he sat down and he said, I really hope that we could get to a mutual satisfying agreement with us, and I know that a lot of negotiations like this can be up and down, but I really want to have a long-term relationship with you, Jeff, and make sure we end up in a nice cohesive relationship. And then he reached inside his suit jacket and pulled out a little bottle of pills. He sat it on the desk next to him. And I looked at that and I said, Oscar, what are those? He said, oh, I have a heart condition, and those are nitroglycerin pills in case I get a little stressed out. I have to have them close at hand, and I need to pop them in my mouth so I can continue okay. That's a shark. That's called the soft approach. You know, the last thing that you want to do is have somebody you negotiate with have a heart attack in front of you. That looks bad on your resume, but at the same token, it's a form of manipulation. Now, there's a thing that I suggest you do on both of these. Now, it takes longer than a short video like this to get you up to speed, but I want to leave you with just a couple tips, some awareness, some insight. In either case, I call the hard approach with Fred. Threatening, it's emotion, it's hard, there's always impending events. If you don't, this will happen. Have you experienced that before? And the soft approach, it's still involved with emotion. I mean, nobody wants to be responsible for somebody having a heart attack because things aren't going the way that they want them to go. That's a soft approach. Now, what I want to tell you off the top of my head is that the one you got to watch out for is a soft approach. You got to be careful. Those are the guys, when you shake hands with them, you better count your fingers when you bring your hand back, because it can sneak up to you from behind. They kind of open up and plead to your heart. The thing that I really want to leave you with is that the thing that will keep you through this is to have one thing in mind. You never want to reveal your full strategy to somebody who's taking those 2 approaches. Someone who's there to manipulate the environment, to use emotion, whether it's a soft guilt type of emotion or force, a heavy threatening kind of emotion. You don't want to reveal your strategy. You don't want to be the first out the door that says, look, I really want to have a win-win with this, and I'll do everything I can so we both walk away in a win-win type of result with this. When you do that, you're literally giving them one thing that they can feed off of, and that's called predictability. Predictability will get you killed. When you become predictable, then they could devise a strategy around that could lead you down a trap. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to reveal your positioning too early in the game. Now, I have a course that I teach. Of course, it's a 2-day program of negotiations. We really flesh this out in detail. But if you don't take that class, just remember this, that if you have an emotion being disturbed, whether it's the beginning of the negotiation, the middle of the meeting, or somewhere towards the end, when you're going to sign on that dotted line, you want to make sure that if you're feeling uncomfortable, first thing you got to be willing to do is stop. You need to stop where you are, dead in the tracks. People don't make good decisions when they're emotionally off balance. I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling weak and defeated, that's not the time to make an important decision and keep to it. You got to be willing to have an anchor, what I call an anchor. What was your original reason to get together? This person that you're negotiating with wants something from you. You have value. You must go back to what is it the value that I have and hold on to that. And when you're disturbed one side or the other, when you are shaken off balance, understand that's just a ploy. It's a form of manipulation to get you off balance in hopes that you're going to, in the middle of off balance, agree to something that can be not something you want to do. So you must be willing to what I do call a soft walkout. And that sounds like this. Let me tell you what I said to Fred. And let me tell you what I said to Oscar, the soft approach. Basically, you want to expose the ploy. And you could do it in a hard way. I prefer a soft way. So what I did with Fred was this. He's leaning over my desk. He's raising his voice. He was in authoritative mode and he was threatening. I put my hands up. I said, Fred, whoa, 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 whoa. I need to say something. And I always interrupt with the person's name. Fred, I need to say something. This form of communication doesn't work for me. I can't hear really what you're saying. I can't think about what I want to say. My relationship with you and the outcome of this agreement is very important. It's paramount to this. And when I can't be clear about this, I'm worthless to you. So what I suggest we do is we end it right now. This is my office. I'm going to ask that you leave. And then let's set up another time when you're more relaxed and I could listen to you better, and then we can move forward. Thank you. Now, you got to understand, Fred was taken back. He goes, what do you mean? I came all the way out here to do this. And I looked at Fred, I said, I totally understand, I appreciate that, but if you came that far out here, you'd be willing to come out here again, possibly with another approach. So what you did in that point in time by talking to somebody in that hard approach, you're telling him, this doorway doesn't work. You've got to be strong enough, even without the imposing threats, to be able to stay firm and go back to internally knowing I have value here. And he wants to get something from me. And he's willing to come back and change it in a way that I can then listen. It's respecting yourself. It's also dictating to the other person, if you want what you see value over here, this is how you're going to play the game. You are setting a whole new set of rules. What I did with Oscar, the soft approach, the guy who has the nitroglycerin pills, is again, by exposing the ploy, I just completely shifted the conversation. I said, Oscar, wow, I'm really glad that you informed me that you obviously have a heart condition here. And if it's to the point where you have to get that quick of a response to grab those nitroglycerin pills, I think we better call it for today. And come back when you're feeling better. I really don't want to ignite anything here, because there's something more important than the outcome of this negotiation, and that's your health. Come on, man, let's not go there. And of course, Oscar completely said, oh, no, he put the pills back in his coat. He said, no, I'll be okay. And this is the point where you have to, again, hold on to that anchor. I said, no, Oscar, we're done. We're done, because I am a little bit off balance right now. I really care about you. I really have a successful outcome. Your health is everything to me. You go home and think about this and come back. Let's set up an appointment. I've got an open schedule next week when you're feeling better. Now I want to tell you, in both cases, Fred came back, he sat down, and he was a different dude. He completely changed his term. He completely used no profanity, no threats. He picked a different doorway. Why? Because I told him that doorway didn't work. Oscar came back. He said, you'll be happy to know I'm feeling great. He didn't pull any pills out, no ploys, no manipulation. And we started at least with a new foothold moving forward. So I hope this helps. You basically want to expose the ploy. You do it in what I call a soft approach. Sometimes you have to be stronger. If they come in at a 7, you've got to be at an 8. You don't have to slam back. You don't have to pick up the sword and cut with the sword. You basically expose to the other side, I don't do well with swords. When you want to lay that sword down, I'll be right here to negotiate. That's clarity. That's taking a stand for yourself. That's setting up your boundaries. And if you don't know your boundaries, how can they know your boundaries? So get clear what they are, stay firm, stay strong, think about the value you're adding, and then negotiate away. Now, if you found any value of this, please share it. And so it is.